Diving right in, the brand new game mode we currently have is the Triple Cone Cup Part 1. Now, this might incentivize that there is a Part 2 coming here in the future. But nevertheless, the Triple Cone Cup is basically a seasonal event consisting of 7 different seasons, each one of those seasons lasting only a week. So essentially, we'll have this in the game for approximately 7 weeks. Not only that, each week we'll have a specific game mode, which will never change, and then we have a seasonal game mode that will change per season, per week. Players will be sorted into 3 different schools based on their abilities and their traits. Also, a thing to keep in mind is that you cannot change your school once it has already been selected if a Triple Cone Cup is currently going on. And in addition to the Triple Cone Cup game mode, they're also dropping or introducing dormitories, one for each of the individual schools, so you can visit your other friends inside of that same school by visiting that specific dormitory, or you can actually jump into the other dormitories of the other schools to visit some other friends. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into explaining this overall game mode for a couple of reasons. One, it's not in the game as of yet, so this information is really subject to change. But number 2 is because once it does officially drop, I'll be doing a follow-up video more focused on just this brand new event game mode. Now, diving into the next big thing that has a lot of controversy going on with it, and that is Capsaicin, which is essentially the brand new super epic that's going to be introduced in this update. They are a frontline charge unit. And yes, you heard me correct. It is a super epic. It's not an epic cookie, a super epic. They're going to be dropping a secondary epic right after Stardust Banner. Capsaicin Cookie will then transform, and his regular attacks will cause lava explosions, inflicting burn and the magma debuff to the enemies. The magma debuff will increase the fire type damage, basically making the enemies more acceptable to fire damage. While transformed, Capsaicin Cookie will become briefly resistant to interrupting effects, and then after his transformation, he will actually enter into a spice overload mode with all the immense magma power and deliver his final strike. If he then does become immobilized during the battle, basically at all, he will then become immortal, which basically will allow you to not be able to dispel his debuffs, and he cannot be immobilized for a certain period of time. Last but not least, the cooldown for his skill will be shortened, allowing for a faster cast on the very first rotation. Now, to get the elephant out of the room, right, obviously he's a brand new super epic being dropped into the game, which one means he's going to be very pay to win at first because free-to-play players have to literally get lucky to summon them on the banner with what little amount of currency that they can muster up. And number 2, they are another charge unit, which, yeah, we're already hurting on skill powders from all of the other cookies we've seen in the past couple of updates already for 2023, and now we're going to be needing more skill powders for the charge class, especially if Capsaicin is broken. But throwing all of that information out of the window, I definitely think the character's design overall is really, really good, and I love the overall spicy theme, and it really fits well with like chili pepper and even Malasauce. Now, diving into the brand new epic cookie for this update, that is going to be the epic cookie Prune Juice Cookie. One of the biggest things about Prune Juice is they are actually a summoner and bomber cookie at the same time. I'm not gonna lie, I think they did that on purpose because people were already upset about them dropping a potential magic cookie into the game and not having enough skill powders. I think Dev Sisters pulled a switcheroo at the last second and just deemed that it was gonna be a bomber cookie instead of a magic summoner. As for the skill for Prune Juice, they are throwing a bottle to the farthest enemy, poisoning that target and nearby enemies. Not only that, when it does throw the giant prune juice bottle, it will contain a poison, and it will inflict a poison damage boost, a sticky goo, a poison, and then also summon prune jellies. Say what? Dude, that sounds broken, and it's a lot of prune. The HP of the summon prune jellies is reduced by the number of hits. The summon prune jellies will spread prune gas from time to time, poisoning nearby enemies, and not only that, they will consist of poison. They're immune of any kind of periodic effects and cannot be affected by shields or healing. Yikes, dude. That seems very strong. Like, that's a lot for a skill to actually encompass. Naturally, we'll have to test it out as soon as they do get dropped into the game via the update. But at first glance, it looks like it's going to be very strong and hard to counter. In addition to the 2 brand new cookies, Malasauce is officially getting a magic candy added into the game. With Malasauce's magic candy, she's essentially getting an increase to her range when utilizing her skill. She's then getting the ability to stun enemies while utilizing her mace, Enemies that are immune to that stun specifically will then take more fire damage. And then last but not least, she also will have the ability to boost the crit percent chance for herself along with all of your allies on your team. And in addition to her magic candy, she's also getting buffed for her attack by 25%. Her defense is going to be increased by 15%, and then HP will be increased by 12%. Oh man, I can absolutely see Malasauce and Capsaicin, along with other cookies, making a comeback here for a burn team. It's not just Malasauce. Chili Pepper cookies actually finally getting a buff that has been well deserved. Chili Pepper's new skill will be increasing her crit damage based on her crit percent, and then will sneak behind the enemy, cause area damage to the rearmost line with 4 strikes, and then the final strike always will deal a critical hit. And additionally to her skill, her attack is going to be increased by 12.5%, and the HP increased by 22%. Now, obviously, we don't know how good of a buff this is as of yet. Does it really make her actually viable, or does it not, and she still is ranked really, really low on the tier list? We don't know until we actually get her in the game and we can do more testing. Now, diving into another really big controversy going on right now for the update, and that's the new resident toppings. Now, the issue with these resident toppings that a lot of players are upset about currently is a couple of things. One, the limitations of the cookies that you can place them on. It kind of makes them, in my opinion, not really worth building up and leveling up those toppings, because by doing so, you are limited to using them on only specific cookies. And if you're not using those specific cookies, well, then those toppings and those resources are just kind of gone and dead, and you can't get them back. So naturally, I think that's, number one. Number two is also going to be the scarcity behind these brand new toppings. You can get into the shop and you can buy them with real money if you got the money and you want to wail on it, but most players don't. And so what are they left to do? Well, they have to grind out a ton to get a small amount of these individual toppings. And the only real value they offer is a higher minimum value when it comes to upgrading them and getting substats. That's actually really, really good. It makes them a safer option when it comes to upgrading toppings to try to get, a higher roll. The problem is, though, is for majority of players, it's nearly impossible to get your hands on these resonant toppings. At the time of recording this video, these brand new resonant toppings can only be equipped on Capsaicin Cookie and Prune Juice Cookie. Now, diving into another event we have going on for this update, and that's the Happy April Fool's Romance Kingdom, the Sugar Sweet Destiny. The Sugar Sweet love story of the Kingdom High is now available in the Romance Kingdom. Join the excited cookies in their campus life under the cherry blossoms. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the one thing on this list that I'm not really too keen on. I've never really been a big fan of like romantic or dating games, so naturally this is probably just not for me. But hey, it might be something for you and you might enjoy it. And speaking of events, the Squirrel Shop will be making a return back to Cookie Run Kingdom. Essentially, it allows you to trade in crunchy acorns, which are the brown ones, or the golden acorns for various items. Things like special season decorations, you've got unique treasures available, and then you also have a variety of different, resources that you can obviously pick up utilizing those acorns. And just like with the Squirrel Shop back in December, they will have a gotcha banner on here that will allow you to summon a brand new special treasure. Again, keep in mind that this special treasure is limited to this specific Squirrel Shop season, and after it is gone, you can no longer get it. This new treasure, Blossoming Acorn Bomb, will then bloom blossoms, cursing 2 random enemies, excluding bosses, turning them into acorns for a period of time, and deals damage equal to the total attack. Additionally, here it will reduce the defense of those cursed targets. And I'm going to tell you, just like last time, I do not think this is a treasure for you guys to focus on and stress over. I would honestly recommend picking up the items that are going to greatly benefit you throughout the Acorn Shop, not so much focus on this individual special treasure, because again, it is going to be going away after the Squirrel Shop season is up, and it's simply just not going to be used. And in addition to treasures, the Elder Pilgrim's Torch is actually getting a rework. You will utilize the torch to inflict periodic fire damage proportionate to the attack of all cookies to nearby enemies, and increases fire type damage that they receive. And now this treasure might actually make it to some sort of meta after this update officially arrives, as it seems like they are really putting a lot of emphasis into these fire damage builds. And then last but not least, the miscellaneous section of just some smaller things that we can expect for the update. The very first one is the Crescent Guardian Moonlight and Rippling Moonlight Seafaring costume is going to be officially added to the regular costume gotcha banner. Not only that, Milky Way Cookie Soul Stones will be added into the mileage shop, so you can obviously max her out if you haven't done so already. And then the number of Sky Islands for the Landmark Garden are going to be increased from 50 to 60, alongside the Springtime Blossom Picnic Party and the Blossoming Squirrel Shop decorations are going to be added into the decoration shop. And there you go, the entire update and what you guys need to know summed up in a very digestible video. As I said here, I'm going to go more in depth and make more videos when the updates officially drop, going into each one of the subjects. Things like the Squirrel Shop, bringing you guys some tips and some tricks, testing out brand new Malasauce's Magic Candy and buff, alongside Chili Pepper's buff, testing her out, see how well she is at a max level, and not only that, obviously doing a first impressions on the 2 new cookies, along with the brand new game mode. You guys let me know what your thoughts are down below. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe here on the channel. And with that being said, as always, I'll see you guys on the next one.